Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we had to deal with some Nurgle Space Marines on the Martyr, and now we get to go back and finish them off.
Inquisitor, are you absolutely certain about this? You will be walking into a trap.
Of course it's a trap, but at least I can kill that prophet.
By the Emperor, yes. Charge into the middle of that toxic, unholy gathering and smash them to bloody pieces. Absolutely. But I am Astartes.
And I am an Inquisitor. I shall be
So, as of this episode, I believe a new set should be available for 40K miniatures, the Battlezone Frontiers Nachman, I believe it is. It's a terrain set, which is really cool. Bunch of buildings. It's got like walls, some hab blocks, like a radar dish, a shrine. I think it's cool. You can buy them separately too. It's nice seeing more stuff that can actually like flesh out a military installation. Because that was one thing that was always lacking. Is it always felt like you're just fighting in ruins. And that's fine, but I'd like to at least make it like a military camp set up within ruins. And like I've said before in an episode, it'd be cool if the maps were like a bit bigger than the 4 feet by 2 feet or whatever it currently is. I think it's 3 feet by something. Just because then you could have these cooler bases and actually maneuver around them. Well, that's just me. I'm weird. I want bigger maps to play on and an initiative system. And I don't think that's gonna change anytime soon. I also saw new Horus Heresy stuff's getting added. Which on one hand, I'm like, cool, Horus Heresy, I like that. On the other hand, I'm like, oh, more stuff that's going to conveniently vanish from, like, existence for 40k instead of 30k. Which on one hand is kind of cool, because then it's introducing like more lost tech and stuff like that, and I think that's all cool. Archaeotech is one of the coolest things to me. But at the same time, we lose out on potentially cool stuff, like a lot of the stuff from Horus Heresy, and then we get stuck with Primaris Marines having the Space Marine wheeled vehicles getting hover equivalents, and the hover equivalents getting wheeled vehicles. Because reasons. I'd like to see some, like, Tyranid terrain. Or a race that's more of an assimilator. Because the Tyranids aren't assimilators. At the end of the day, they're consumers. You know, they just break everything down, and I want something that's more like the Flood. You know, something that's spooky and interesting to deal with. You know, environments that are all grown over with fleshy appendages and look gross. Stuff that's Nurgle-y, essentially. Because God knows they're not making Nurgle at any attempt at being an assimilator. I do wonder who, like, what other terrain they can do. You could do orc terrain, I guess. Like, orky stuff would work, it's just... It kind of runs the risk of just being... Just being, like, human stuff with some extra gubbins attached. Yeah, outside of that, I haven't really seen a lot for 40K lately. It's been fairly quiet. Saw some stuff for, what is it? Total War Warhammer 3. There's a guy, Okoi? O-K-O-I-I, I think? He does... You know, I'm actually gonna quick check just to make sure I'm doing mentioning the right person. No sense in giving someone else free clout. Yep, I was right. But, he does videos of Doom stacks, and those are hilarious. 19 Sky Junks for Cathay, 19 Skull Cannons for Corn. The musical choices for some of them are pretty hilarious. And then just the fact that he makes these things work. Granted, they're not perfect. Like a 19 Sky Junk army is gonna get just torn to shreds against any ranged army.
Is what I'm reduced to, an errand boy.
Or even if they're not ranged, if they have flying, you know, you get hit with a Britonia Winged Pegasus, or I guess they're all winged if they're a Pegasus, but Pegasus Knight stack, you're getting flat. But it's still cool to, you know, see stuff like that, or 19 Morngul Hunters. There was one, they patched it unfortunately, but it was, I think, 18 Skaven Warlock Engineers. It provided so much speed, damage, and range. I think it was mostly the damage and speed to a squad of Rattling Gunners. They were dealing like 2,000 damage, just obliterating armies. Just one unit. Absolutely hilarious. He did one using Clan Molder. You know, gotta rep the homies at Clan Molder. With, what was it? Skaven Slaves. A Skaven Slave stack that they were just absolutely tricked out in buffs. And then they're all augmented with stuff like Necroparasites, one of my favorite upgrades. To the point where they would fight, die, he'd pop the thing, they'd all get back up and keep fighting. I love that ability, it's so fun to use. Did one of, what was it? 19 Nurgling stack. It's just this tide of Nurglings. It's nice to see people do kind of unique stuff like that. Especially because a lot of us are waiting on, people call it Immortal Empires right now, but the full game map. A lot of people are waiting on that. People are waiting on Chaos Dwarves. I've seen people who are like, oh man, it has really bad player numbers and so many people have stopped playing. I'm like, yeah, because the campaign kind of sucks. It's annoying, it punishes you for expanding. Everybody gets Bellacore if you're the victor, which makes no sense. Like, why would Cathay or Kislev use Bellacore? The guy who, especially for Kislev, the guy who killed Urson. And they're just like, yeah, we'll just enslave him to lead our armies. Nah, I think they would just murk him and move on. And like people have said, that if they're not going to introduce... I'm trying to think of the way the word is. If they're not going to introduce the campaign mechanics, you know, the Realms of Chaos and all that, to Immortal Empires, then there's no reason to have Bellacore the way he is, because you can't get him then. And then the problem is, you have a useless lord. And he leads the Shadow Legion, which you think they would just introduce as a playable faction in Immortal Empires. Oh man, I just realized I forgot to use the thing I wanted to use. I'm dumb. Oh well. Mistake was made. I was gonna use my meme virus, but I didn't think about it. Yeah, let's open the stasis chamber for the Alpha Pariah.
I am approaching the stasis chamber again.
Cut through the chaos infestation and get to the psychic barrier. I'm on my way to the seals.
But speaking of meme virus, I was watching a playthrough of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, because why not? That game's actually pretty fun. And I don't have a copy of it. But so, I forgot how much of the storyline is just kind of wacky. Like the fight with Monsoon. The whole time he's talking about memes. And that's effectively what the whole game is about, is memes. And it's really funny to me to think that a game about memes spawned like the Nano Machine Sun meme. Just kind of this weird, like, a game of memes spawned a real meme in the world. Also, the characters are just cool. I liked Sundowner. Jetstream Sam was cool. Monsoon I really didn't care about. The one lady, like the first boss, I can't even remember her name. Armstrong obviously created the Nano Machine Sun meme. Kamzin was DLC and kinda The music though was banging. Amazing soundtrack, but that's to be expected when it comes to Platinum Games. You know, they did the sound. They made Mad World, and that soundtrack was astounding. You know, that's something Platinum doesn't get enough credit for, is they do good soundtracks. Except for Babylon's Fall. I don't know what they were thinking with that one. That game just felt weird.
Are you prepared?
I saw a bunch of people talking about how that game's absolute butt cheeks. And credit where credit is due, they came out right around the launch of Elden Ring. You were behind the 8 ball right then and there. And that was actually something I was talking to a friend of mine about. And that's so we had November, which was, usual Call of Duty Battlefield or launch time. But then everybody just dumped everything February. And I had said, well, I don't get why everybody's sitting here trying to force their games in at this time. I can guarantee June, July, people are going to be bored as hell, got nothing to play. Release then. Because right now, your competition is nothing. Or if you have competition, it's very, very weak competition. I get the idea of people will be out vacationing and doing stuff. I'll be honest with you, at least from my experience, I grew up poor as hell. My family couldn't go on vacation, but I could afford a video game. And that's what I'd do. I'd sit at home, play video games during the summer. Now, I sit at home, play video games whenever. But, not everybody goes on vacation. Especially now. Have you seen the prices for Disneyland? Not everybody's going there. And I'm not going, as much as I would love to go to Mexico and see some of the Mayan and Aztec ruins. I also thoroughly acknowledge I can easily get kidnapped and beheaded by a cartel. I'm not exactly looking forward to that possibility. I'd love to go to Egypt. Once again, potentially kidnapped and beheaded. Not that cool. The only places I could go with relatively few problems would be Germany, Scotland, Ireland, the UK, but I have no reason to go to the UK, or England. As much as I like castles, I'll just go to Ireland or Scotland. And then Japan. Those are the only places. The worst thing that'll happen to me in Japan is I might get profiled by the cops. And I'm willing to take that risk over Mexico and cartel beheadings. Alright, and that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.